You're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to make me have the same opinion as you. Yeah, I can't rap on this show.
Did you do?
We got 89 subscribers. What are you doing, rapping? Woohoo! What's up, guys?
What do you do?
Beautiful day today.
So we at 89 subscribers. Can we get it to 100?
I mean, depends on what you're gonna do on camera.
Let's get it to 100.
No, so Kimberly said earlier that if we get to 1 million subscribers, she would go out on a date with somebody.
With who?
With somebody. I don't know.
All right.
So there
But
you
we
have it,
have-
guys.
but
1
we
million
have to get to a
subscribers.
million
Go on a
Oh,
date.
one of the
A
subscribers.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we get to 1 million subscribers, that gold plaque, you will go out with one of the subscribers
Yeah.
on a date. All right.
Let's see.
RD, you can only subscribe one time.
We're gonna make fake accounts. RD123, RD1234. Yeah.
All
We got a
right.
full team today, man.
We do.
We got
Yes,
the
sir.
fact check guy,
Which is now just the guy.
the guy.
Yep. He does it all.
D Money was on the roof listening to the show. I don't know what he's doing up there. You know, I'm sorry, guys. Welcome back first. Welcome back to another episode of Open Daily. I am so sorry RD is still here.
We're still doing tryouts, though. We're still doing tryouts. How was your
We got
week,
sound
guys?
effects now.
My week was great. It was a busy week. Filled the whole day, all days. Huh?
It was.
Yeah, it was. I was busy the whole week. It was great. Great conversations.
Why does Drix's voice get lower when he gets in front of the mic?
I love you guys.
All right. Any interesting topics that came up during the week?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Everybody wants to know if Kimberly's single.
that? How do you first start the video out for people? What do
I
you do?
have a little thing going on. Before I put the video at the shop, I usually say, "That's Drix's sister. She is single. She might be into girls. We don't know yet, but I gotta let them know." And we now are
Dude.
taking numbers. Drix, sorry, I forgot.
I've been having people hitting me up talking about who's the shorty. Who's that girl up in those videos?
That's the wrong person
And
to
then I
ask,
hit him with
right?
that's my sister, bro.
Oh, my bad, my bad,
bro.
my
Hey.
bad.
I said 1 million subscribers in order for me to go on a date.
That's
Damn.
achievable. But we also talked. What else? Is freedom of speech really free? Yo, people got down on that one. People
Is
were
freedom of speech really free?
really free. People were, they had something to say.
Oh.
What do you guys think?
That's a dangerous subject because, sometimes you may burst somebody's reality of what they think that is free, right? And it may not necessarily be the case. There was a guy that was in Drix's chair, and we were talking about it, and he was getting a little agitated in a 100% friendly way. We always have these debates back and forth, but it's like I'm speaking, and he's like Googling what I'm saying to make sure that it's true, and it's just I feel like a lot of people don't have all the facts on that statement.
What do you guys think, though? Do we have freedom of speech in today's era?
To a certain to a certain
Extend.
standard.
Say it with your chest.
To a certain standard, because we have more freedom of speech than other countries, but that also doesn't make it different from damn shit. I messed it up. I lost my train of thought. God damn it. So freedom of speech is different here from other countries, you know. We can actually speak our mind out in this country without getting certainly fined for it. But like other countries, you probably get killed for saying some of the stuff you say.
So you're saying that we can speak our mind without anything happening to us in this country?
Yeah, by the law, no. Like, you can say whatever you want. You're probably gonna have people putting up your address online, people pulling up to your house.
Let's
But that,
I think we
No,
need to
I don't
understand the
think so.
rules, right?
Exactly.
Freedom of speech, right? There is a government aspect to it. The government allow you to have freedom of speech. Then there's a private, for example, you work for this company and you say something that the company doesn't like. Will they, hold the right to fire you over what you said? And then there's a court of public opinion. So the government can say, yeah, and the public can say, and the private company can say, yeah, but the public may be against you. So I think the question is there freedom of speech in all three of the categories? Because to an extent, there's freedom of speech in every category until you don't, you're not liked or you didn't say something that was pleasant to that category, right? Does that make sense a little bit?
makes a lot of sense. I think there is.
But why are you guys talking so much? I want to hear Kimberly.
Okay, for me, no, I don't think there is freedom of speech.
Wow, that's a bold statement. See, you guys are
I got-
scared.
I got
she
that a
came
lot.
out and said it.
Yeah,
I
period.
got that a lot too. I do think that there is freedom of speech. What I think is going on is that we don't have the understanding or the education about said speech. Because we can say whatever we want. But is there a place that we can say whatever we want? Absolutely. The problem that I find nowadays is that people is trying to convince everybody else with their speech. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. You're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to make me have the same opinion as you.
right. But, I mean, what?
But I mean, the question is like, do we have the voice? We can voice out what we feel, right? But is our voice being heard? Is the question.
I think it is being heard because that's how you get repercussions.
But then again, are thoughts being put out into creating our freedom of speech, or not?
Well, you see, I'm gonna put this a quick sample that I did it in the podcast. My mom referred to this as, she would always quote me a verse of the Bible, and it was, "From the abundance of your heart, the mouth will speak." Right? Nowadays, what do we have going on? We have the elections. We have a lot of things that are changing, right? But a lot of hate is going on. Put it this way. Let's say that you are a coffee shop. You're sitting down with your coffee talking to Jose about the show, and then I'm standing up with my coffee, and all of a sudden I tripped and I spilled my coffee on you. Why did I spill my coffee on you?
It was an
Is it
accident.
true?
Because I tripped? Well, yeah. But I spilled coffee on you because I had coffee in my cup. Our mouth, our hearts, is like a cup. The coffee is whatever we put inside the cup, right? So when I spill the coffee on you, you can either throw the coffee back at me, correct? Or you can be like, dude, you tripped, I get it. How many times is people spilling over other people
With their speech.
with
And
their
how-
speech?
And how many times does that coffee come back?
And how many times you get upset and you're like, man, I'm going to throw my coffee at you right back, right?
Right.
So that's why I said that sometimes we need to have the understanding that certain speeches, they just want to create confrontation. They just want to be hateful. Because why should what Jose, what Drix, what the sound guy, what everybody else gotta affect who I am? Why do we let people's opinions or perspective become our reality? Now, bro, we all have coffees in our cups. Sometimes we're gonna spill it in an accident, I get it. Right? But that doesn't mean that you don't have the right to throw it at somebody. What I'm trying to say is that I believe we have 100% freedom of speech. What we don't have is the intellect or the education to try to to try to put that speech out there. 'Cause
I'm gonna give you an example of a dying art in our culture, and it's called spitballing or brainstorming. So most of the great ideas come from like-minded individuals gathering in a group and just saying whatever idea they had and seeing what sticks. Now you're so scared to say what you want to think or anything that you think can be positive, whether it be for a company, for society, for people around your family and stuff like that, that instead of spitballing that idea and seeing what sticks by other people being giving input into that idea, everybody's staying quiet. So I think the freedom of speech is, again, another loaded question, because if we don't have that, then how can we develop new ideas? Mm-hmm. If we're just saying whatever is okay to be said, right? Mm-hmm. And with that said, I think we're in a gray area when it comes to freedom of speech. Black, white, gray, right? In the middle. Polarizing should be the answer. It should be absolutely yes. But there's examples all around us of freedom of speech not being free. For example, what's going on with Hunter Biden, right? Whatever he did or didn't do is irrelevant. It's not a court of a court of justice. What I'm saying is you can't post about what happened to him or he did allegedly on Twitter and Facebook. They will take it down. But you can see, granted maybe not now, but beheadings on those platforms. People's heads being cut off.
Crazy stuff.
How is that freedom of speech? Where you can't give your opinion on an article that was published in the New York Times because Twitter and Facebook's going to take it down.
that is really messed up, bro. I mean, and who would have thought that that's going on in today's era, right? That
Facebook and
but at the end of the day,
all
those are platforms that you are pretty much saying that your content
it's basically theirs.
is basically theirs. So you can get mad for that. You just gotta understand that the platform that you are on is
It's like
go ahead.
it's like pretty much like private property. You're on somebody's website and you're saying whatever you want to say, and if they don't approve of it, they can kick you out.
It's like over
100%.
here, Jose. You know, we're in your studio, and if you don't, as an example, I know you don't care, but if you don't want us to say profanity, we can't say it, right? Because these are the rules.
What the you talking about?
I know, but that I think we do have freedom of speech. I mean, there's other countries, dude, where you cannot say anything whatsoever.
I feel like we have freedom of speech, but everything has its consequences.
It's limits, and things happen where we don't really voice out what we really want to say. We kind of lower our standards because we're afraid of the outcome. But there are a lot of leaders that voice out what they truly believe, and unfortunately, some outlooks are not that good.
So I got a letter from D Money. I don't know why he sent me a letter and not just called me or text me. And I'll ask you this question. Are we the leaders of freedom of speech in the world? Do we have the most freedom to speak in the world?
Right now,
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay. Do we have the best speakers in the world with that privilege?
I think we don't.
Clutch yourself.
No, because I mean, yeah, but that's what I was referring earlier. Like, and I like what Kimberly was saying about the leaders. There is gotta be leaders that stand up and they raise their voice, but in a way that is clear. I mean, a speech, right? A good speech can either create war or can either motivate people. If you really think about it.
I had a dream.
I had a dream.
You know what I really think is missing from the society and the conversation is that leader. And I think everybody's scared of personal persecution, that they're not willing to put themselves out there. And that's the ultimate sacrifice, right? Because who's going to sacrifice everything about them so that something can be pushed forward, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and our great leaders of the past, right? There's a saying that says, you know how you know who's the pilgrim versus the Indian? The pilgrim's the one with the arrows in his back. So the guy sacrificed himself so he can show the land. So I think that leader subject is very important, because who's our leader that's taking those arrows, that's taking those blows so that we can continue, right? I think we started off great with the freedom of speech, but now we're seeing more and more and more examples of that being slowly taken away from us. And it's done over a period of time where I hope it doesn't get like this, but it's going to be at a point where we wake up and we say, man, I really can't say what I want to say.
I really
control.
like that question, bro. Jose said, who is that leader? And some people might be thinking, well, you know, how can I be the leader for, I don't know, thousands and thousands? But if you really think about it, you could be that leader at your house, right? You could be that leader at your work, you know, with your friends, with your family. But instead of, for example, again, I'm not trying to make this political because I'm not that educated on it, but in my family, I'm Hispanic. If you say that you want to go red, bruh. Oh, boy. You know,
Sparks of fire.
and instead of imagining, no, blue is this, blue is that. But when you ask, okay, what do you know about red? I don't care about, you know, nothing. I don't know nothing. And I come over here and I try to explain to them a little bit, right? I try to explain to them with policies, with the stuff like that. And they kind of tone it down and they try to listen. I was the leader at that point in my family, right? Have you guys had that where you get to be that leader?
Yeah.
I've been blessed enough, like, you know, my dad was that in our family, so I kind of got to see it firsthand. And I got to see both sides of the story, so I kind of shied away from it myself, where I'm like, man, I don't want to go through that. You know,
And that's crazy because you're really good at talking.
sometimes, you know. What was that laugh for?
But how about if we ask somebody that...
I think this took a whole turn. What you gonna say? What?
Yeah, I was just going to ask somebody that has seen and met more presidents than we have ever had. And that would be D Money. Can anybody call him?
Yo, D Money.
Hey, D, Money.
Oh, what's up, guys?
What's up, D Money? Can I ask you another question before that one?
Sure.
Why are you not wearing any clothes?
I mean, there's no clothes that are really do it justice. Just more comfortable too.
Gotcha. I believe our Dizzle wanted to ask you a question.
Hey, Mr. D Money. Thank you for allowing me to be in front of your presence. Do you...
What's with the hand?
Do you? He's naked, bro. Do you think freedom of speech is really free?
I think it's historically, it's definitely gotten a lot better. Objectively, it could definitely get better. I would say you were talking about leaders. A leader that I think of, I mean, you go through and you just see all these important figures. And for me, it's going to be the Greek philosopher Diogenes. So Diogenes lived during the 4th century BC, about 2,300 years ago. And one of the biggest things you have to do with free speech is test it against people of authority. So what Diogenes did, when none other than Philip II of Macedon captured him and asked him if he was a spy, Diogenes responded with, and I quote, "I spy on your absence of wisdom and common sense, which is the only thing forcing you to go and gamble your kingdom and your life in a single moment." And if that wasn't crazy enough, he also gave a good response to his son, none other than Alexander the Great of Macedon. To which Alexander asked him, "What can I do for you?" And Diogenes replied, "Stand aside to stop blocking the sun." He was sunbathing. And then after Alexander met Diogenes, he said, "If I were not Alexander, I would want to be Diogenes."
Hey, fact check guy, can we fact check that real quick?
That's way too much. Fact check.
D Money, that was your cue to say it. You don't fact check D Money.
D Money.
No, I just figured that was assumed. I figured that was a given.
He's sunbathing. That's why he's all naked over there.
It's
You know, you found him on your roof.
3 a.m. in the morning.
D Money, ladies and gentlemen.
D Money.
D Money.
So, I had a question.
I have an answer.
Freedom of speech, I feel like has a whole nother division when it comes to freedom of speech on social media. And I feel like social media just takes a whole different turn and toll to where freedom of speech can go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can say whatever you want. Because this amendment was signed in 1966. Fact check on that, please.
The fact that you're asking for a fact check knows that we know that it's real.
Yeah.
We pay them per fact check, all right? So please, no unnecessary fact checks.
And it's crazy because they signed it before there was social media. You know what I mean? And now social media controls basically our whole lives. And we can say whatever we want on social media, but everybody's gonna bash on you. And your social media is open to the world. So whenever you say whatever you want, you're gonna get consequences like right away. People are gonna react to it, and you're gonna be in a war.
So you're saying that freedom of speech is not really free?
On social media.
Not on social media. Not on social media.
So realistically, it is free.
Yeah, because we could be talking, me and you, and then I could say, I don't like
wouldn't
it.
you be able to type in on social media whatever you thought, right? At that moment. You still get bashed for it, but your opinion was thrown out there in social media.
Well, it was free though. Nobody stopped you to be able to post that. It's just that that particular post got a reaction from a lot of whack followers that you have, bro.
Speaking of social media, I did a poll, and is freedom of speech really free? And the answers I got were really interesting. One stuck out from Justin, and he said, nothing in life is ever free.
I agree.
Right? So it's kind of like an oxymoron or contradicting freedom of speech, free, right? And then I'm going to try to get him on the phone. Mr.
Are we having
Video
our first?
Editor. Huh? Our
Are we
first
having
phone call.
Our first phone call.
All right.
All right, let's get
It's
it.
exciting.
He had a really interesting reaction to the poll or question. I'm going to get him on the phone and see if he can answer that.
Hello.
What's up, Alex?
Hey, Sosa, how's it going?
Hey, Alex.
What's up, Alex?
What's up, guys?
Hey.
Hey, we're here filming one of the episodes of Open Daily, and so far everybody's saying that you do such a great job at editing, and it's not the only thing that you do, because I asked a question on my social media, and you had a really interesting answer, and I kind of wanted to get you on. You had an interesting answer to the question I posted up on social media, and I wanted to get you on the phone so you can explain it to do it justice, because it was so well put.
You know, when it comes to freedom of speech, I think throughout history, speech has always had some sort of consequence. It's an arbitrary line that people draw, societies draw, as to, what's acceptable speech, what's not, and what punishments we grant for certain blasphemies or what have you. Now, I think, though, we've gotten to a time, at least today, that the threshold has been set so low as to what's acceptable to talk about, what opinions to have or what we can even discuss, without severe consequences, such as, someone trying to ruin your career or threaten violence or anything like that. So I think there's a, sort of an ironic aspect that comes along with that, is that makes the world more of a closed-off place than it really does an honest or open place. And I think it's important, to realize that speech is thought. So if you can't, share your speech without the least worrying about severe consequences. Speech has always had some sort of consequence, but if we can't openly share, ideas, thoughts suffer, ideas suffer, and you can't overcome bad ideas that way with better ideas. You can't, realize why bad ideas are bad. You can't reflect on, if you think someone's opinion is awful or someone's an awful person, how are you supposed to analyze that and have an open discussion as to why if we, can't talk about certain things. And I think the big takeaway is that, when you can't express what you're thinking, that's your thoughts, and your art is your thoughts. You put our thoughts into music, we put our thoughts into drawings, into podcasts, into whatever we like to create. And I think that's really important to have an honest, open world. And it's just ironic that with the speech coming with so much severe consequence these days, that speech is definitely not free. It can be very expensive for some people, and we should just at least as adults, share our ideas and overcome what we think bad ideas are with better ideas, if that's the case. Because otherwise, how are we gonna grow? Humanity.
That was very powerful thing to say. How are we going to overcome bad ideas if we can't express freely the bad ideas or those ideas, right? So thank you so much, Alex. This is a history, first phone call ever.
Thank you, Alex.
With everything that's been said, and sorry to cut you off, RD, with everything that's been said, right? I think we get misguided about the question, right? In my opinion, freedom of speech is free, but does it come with consequences is the question that we're actually debating. We can get on and say something, but are we going to be prepared to deal with those consequences? And I think that's where it ties into the leadership, right? If you're saying something for the betterment of a group, a house, a couple people, a large amount of people, you have to be prepared for what comes down the line, right? And I can give you examples till I'm blue in the face about freedom of speech not being free. For example, that orange poster behind you is an Obey piece. Shepard Farley, the artist who owns Obey, when Obama was running for office the first time, he did a drawing of Obama, which it was like hope and everything like that, and he expressed his speech through art, which is what artists do. But the Obama camp, and I'm going to paraphrase this, sued Obey, and it made Obey, that is a streetwear brand, go into the likes of Macy's and major retailers, successfully killing the brand. Because when you're underground and you go mainstream, the underground doesn't support you, right? But did that take away from him having the freedom to say that, or to draw what he did, or make the art that he did? Or was he not just prepared for the consequences that came behind, right? So to answer the question, that's why I waited a little bit. Freedom of speech is free, but what are the consequences that happen afterwards? For example, you have in some countries, Arabic countries, where the woman cannot take off the, I don't know what it's called, I'm sorry, the
Jihad?
Jihad. Our fact check guy's in the bathroom, so he's taking a little break. The jihad, right? They can't take it off. And in certain places, if they take it off, they can get stoned, like the stoning of Soraya. They can get persecuted, beaten. Like the list goes on of what can happen. They don't have the freedom of speech to express how they're feeling that day with their look. We live in a country where we have the freedom of speech, but society, the public sector or the private sector, says that we don't. The government says that we do. But society or the private sector, sometimes both, sometimes one, says that we don't for the consequences. Another example, there's an artist, I'm Dominican, her name's Tokisha. She made a song that was really vulgar. The song was actually really good, but they arrested her for making that song, allegedly. We don't know all the facts yet. Did she have the freedom to create that song and to put it out there?
Yes. But she had the consequence that she got arrested.
She actually didn't have the freedom because she's getting arrested. The government is saying you don't have the freedom of speech.
They made her take the video down.
I don't know if they made it take it down because the government can't command YouTube,
Right.
but she's living in that country with those rules. And again, we don't know all the facts, but compared to everywhere else in the world, we have the freedom to say it. Now, are we prepared to deal with those consequences is another question.
And I think there's many ways you can express your freedom of speech, though, not necessarily by being vulgar and, being loud. I mean, artists, there's a beautiful way that they can express how they feel, the way you dress, the color of your hair. Not me, though, but
Your religion.
But I guess
You know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
it's just on the delivery, the way you say your freedom of speech. Because you could deliver a message in a mean way, you could deliver a message in a intellectual way. You know what I
Right.
mean?
But
Or-
whichever way you deliver it, that's your choice in delivering the message. There's a saying in Spanish, and I'm going to translate it to English. Do you know why the colors were made?
why colors were made.
Yeah. Everybody has different opinions. Everybody has different taste. Para el gusto se hicieron los colores,
that's right.
right? So even if it's vulgar, even if it's not vulgar, even if it's safe, even if it's PG-13, even if it's X-rated, it's still your speech.
And the craziest part about this, or about that, what you said, is that people don't realize, right, that there's so much growth in other people's opinion, in other people's speeches. There's so much growth. We can learn so much from everybody else, but we decide to be selfish and just try to convince people that our way is correct.
Right.
It's another saying that says the blind can't lead the blind. Right? What do you think, Kimberly?
No, I agree. I think there's so much to learn that sometimes people don't allow other people to have their own personal opinions. And like I said, like us, with the freedom of speech, I believe like there is no freedom of speech. Like people can probably say something and then contradict it into something completely different.
How many times do we see somebody apologizing for something that they said and meant?
Very rare.
No, it
Apologizing
happens.
all the time.
Manny
For what?
Pacquiao, when you went on Twitter and he tweeted about the LGBTQ, I think he came out. And
Okay,
he
you
said
going
He apologized.
that broad. Okay.
Okay, so Kimberly says no freedom of speech. RD?
I think there is freedom of speech.
Drixie Poo?
Freedom of speech has its consequences.
Okay. And I say there is freedom of speech and there's also consequences. But to the important topic at hand, Mr. Drix has some notes, and I want to get one of the points that he had on that paper, man. We're ready. We're ready. Whenever he leans to that side, it's going to be fire.
It was where I was in the beginning where I was saying what makes our freedom of speech different than other countries.
The government says it's free.
That's pretty much
That's
it.
the biggest difference. Our government allows us to have freedom of speech. In many other places, most of other places, the government does not allow you to have freedom of speech.
So you're saying that other countries don't have, like, I'm sure there's other countries, which I should have done some research on this, but I'm sure there's another country that has
I got you on that
freedom
one.
of speech.
Oh, there's plenty. I mean, Honduras, where I'm from, is one of them. You can say literally whatever is it that you want, right? But Cuba, did you know that when you send a letter or an email, it is first read by a group of people that the government
Really?
hired to read all those emails, and then if they see that everything is fine, they release it to the person.
That's not freedom of speech.
That is
That's for sure
absolutely
not.
not.
What kind of government is the Cuban government?
Communist.
Socialism.
And socialism?
One of my friends told me that when you listen to the news, is everything is fine here and everything is wrong outside of their borders. That's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy. I think the biggest freedom of speech example that I have is Snowden. he literally got persecuted for outing our government on our privacy. It was his freedom of speech that made him become fugitive number one. Almost like he did treason, but he just opened our eyes to what was really going on. So, I mean, there's extents to everything, but for the most part, man, it's hard to say. I would love for this to reach different people, different countries, so that we can begin having those conversations, so that we can begin talking about freedom of speech. You know, we don't know anybody that hates as much as RD, but we love him for it. That's his opinion. He has the freedom to say that and hate on us, you know, and he does it with good intentions to make us better.
Some
So he
people
says.
confuse hate with being a real friend. That's one of you.
That didn't make any sense.
That's you, bro.
I confuse hate with being a real friend.
Yeah, I'm the realest friend you've ever had.
Hey, some encouragement once in a while will be good, all right? Every once in a while, you know. But yeah, let's hear the ending arguments of freedom of speech. I know we went, you know, into different sections, but I think for the show, when we touch on a top subject, any topic that we touch so far, we can definitely come back. And even us hearing it, come back and say, man, I should have said this, or I could have said that, or I could have added this, this, and this. So don't think that we covered a subject and we're never going to cover it again. The whole point is open talk format, right? So it's for us to continue to grow and to spread the message. There was a great philosopher that once said, I don't want to be the change in the world, but I want to start the conversation that changes the world.
That's a good one.
You know who said that?
Who said it?
You don't know?
Yeah.
Malcolm X.
No. This is like a very upstanding citizen, super regarded and
Stop, bro.
high regards.
Stop. Just say my name already.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It was Tupac Shakur.
He looked like Tupac's cousin, bro. Close enough.
Where?
So that's why it's very important that you guys, you know, whatever you want to say to us, comment. Let us know if you want us to talk about. This is only our opinion, what we talk about at a barbershop and what we think of things. So who's going to close this one out?
I say Kimberly. She's been quiet.
She's been quiet today.
Yeah.
I feel like
You
I
have
was
freedom of
Comment
speech.
Yeah, I do. But comment below your thoughts on freedom of speech. We would like to know. Maybe we can bring it up later on a different conversation. But if not, hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below what we just talked about.
like, comment, subscribe. Drix, RD, Sosa, Kimberly.
We got a special guest in the building, and I'm going to ask you a very serious question, sir. Which side of the Open Daily cast won this argument?
I will say the left side.
This side, right? Man, were we undefeated?
Because he has those long speeches, bro.
This is why
This guy, I don't know what
this
he
is
does,
why
bro.
I decided that
He
I
probably
wanna be
rehearses.
you versus them, because
That's
Yeah.
fine, bro.
I want to be on the winning
You
team.
are free
I
to
wanna
say
be the
all
most-
the lies that you want in this show. Don't worry about it.
That's why freedom of speech is not real.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think.